Happy Friday and welcome to Sick Call. Thank you for tuning in and we're excited for today's guest. With us, we have Captain Japheth Ng'ojoy. He's a U.S. Army Environmental Science Officer. Good morning, sir, and thank you for being here.
Good morning.
And this week, I'm representing the Valencia Medical Recruiting Station on my own. I'm Sergeant First Class Michael Cube, and with me this morning from the Culver City Medical Recruiting Station, we have Sergeant First Class Marlon Johnson. Welcome, Sergeant Johnson, and thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, and good morning. And good morning to you too, also, Captain Ng'ojoy. Would you begin by telling us and our viewers a little bit about yourself?
Yes, thank you so much for having me here today. My name is Captain Japheth Ng'ojoy. I was born and raised in Rift Valley, Kenya. At the end of my high school, I was recruited by a coach from the University of Texas, El Paso, and I came to down to the United States and went through the school program as a student athlete. Upon graduation from the University of Texas, El Paso, UTEP, Go Miners, I went up to northern Colorado, where I became a high school science teacher and a cross-country coach. I was there for 3 years before I decided to change my profession and I wanted to do something else. And at that point, I enlisted in the Army, which is usually, or that's not a typical route for a former teacher to enlist. However, I was on a green card, so that was the route I took. And I was fortunate to actually become a 68 kilo, which is a medical laboratory specialist. Went through training, and I was assigned to William Beaumont Army Medical Center in Fort Bliss, Texas, going back to Texas. I worked there at Clinical Microbiology Laboratory for 3 years. And at that point, I had interaction with a lot of leaders, officers, NCOs, and most of them highly recommended me that I should go on the commission side of the Army. And it was more like, hey, you should be like a lab officer. Some of them were kind of like, hey, come to the public health side, be a 72 Delta. That is environmental science and engineering officer. And at that point, I had enrolled in Masters of Public Health with the UT Health Systems. And I thought it was a good route to go. So I went to a recruiting station. I stopped by AMED recruiters. Some first class cook was one of my recruiters there who took it right there and made it effortless. I commissioned. From there, I went through Bullock and I went through Principles of Military Preventive Medicine course. And upon completion, I was stationed in Alaska at Fort Wainwright, also assigned to a MEDAC. From there, I did my assignment there, enjoyed Alaska, and then I needed to get out and do some out on the operational side. So I chose to come out here to Fort Drum, New York, where I'm currently stationed. Right here, I am with my family, my wife and 3 kids, and we're enjoying up here in the North Country.
So, sir, environmental science is such a broad term. Can you tell us more about your profession?
Yes, environmental science. We are considered environmental science and engineering officers, and this is super broad. Depending on where you get assigned, you could be at BCT, where I am right now, Brigade Combat Team, or you could be at medicine, MEDAC, you could be at public health. And whatever you are, for example, I'll use MEDAC because that was my first assignment. I was the chief of environmental health. That means in environmental health, I I ran programs in inspection of food, drinking water quality, vector surveillance. So with that being said, you're running programs that includes budgets. Also, as an environmental science and engineering officer, you can also work in industrial hygiene, where most of your duties would involve surveillance for things like air quality, indoor, outdoor. You could also work with occupational health, where at this point you will be working with radiation safety. That is one example. And at that point, you get an opportunity to work with even different departments, like radiology, for instance, like dental, veterinary. And when you're in a brigade combat team, you're going to be involved in inspection of all the potable water containers. You're going to be teaching classes such as you're going to be teaching classes such as field sanitation team courses. You're going to teach food handlers courses for personnel who are going to be helping out with cookouts and SFRG, feeding. So there's multiple things you can do as an environmental science officer. You can even run programs such as vaccinations, seasonal flu campaign, and right now COVID. We're like super involved in running programs such as contact tracing, for instance.
All right, so sir, the roles that you're mentioning are those common initial roles that a newly employed environmental science officer can expect for themselves?
Hey, thanks on Johnson for asking that question. All of those, like we mentioned earlier, that is a broad term, or being an environmental science officer is super broad. Yes, as an initial entry officer, all of these you can do it. So what it comes to is first where you're assigned, so that you will have a scope of your work. However, depending on how you put yourself, you move around, you're capable, you're going to do all these and many more that I may not have mentioned. So yes, this is an opportunity for someone, you're coming right off the bat and you're getting entrusted to run these programs, versus if I was to go right now in a civilian world and work at CDC or any public health department in a city. There's no way I would do that my first year. So this is great for like environmental science officers, that they are ready to go and grab the bull by the horns.
So with that, sir, what would you say, in your opinion, differentiates your role in the Army from the types of employment folks can expect in the civilian sector in your profession?
I'll tie this to the last question again. Here in the Army, in general, you come in and and like we all understand that the Army develops their leaders. So you come in and you're put in a position. Hey, you're gonna be the chief of this section. You're gonna run this section. This is what we need. And so you're being entrusted to run a bigger role. No one is going to let you fail, because you're a part of a line of leadership. So if I'm failing, my higher leadership are failing. So while they hold me by the hand, they also give me an opportunity to actually develop by running like larger programs with larger budgets, and leading soldiers and civilian employees. So this is a dream come true for someone who really wants to get that leadership development right off the bat.
No, it's excellent.
So, sir, our viewers may or may not know, but you have a unique extra curricular activities that you do that the Army actually sponsors. Would you tell our viewers a little bit about that?
Yes, Army is been has offered all these programs that maybe not many people know. For me, running is one of them, and Army sports in general is it's a big thing for me. Running, like I mentioned earlier, running through the NCAA system, and so coming in the Army, it was kind of, hey, like we love runners. And it started when I was in San Antonio, when I was in AIT. After PT and whatnot, leadership already notices that, hey, you got some, you got talent. That he's going to be a 10 miler here. It's going to be a qualifier. Whoever gets top five, I don't remember if it was top five or top 10, but the point was you make the team. You get to represent the installation out in Washington, D.C. in October. I mean, hey, that's a free trip to Washington, D.C. I'm going. So I showed up, raced, met the team, and at that point, I went with the team, and that right off the bat, I'm a initial entry trainee, but now I'm in a team with like seniors, like platoon sergeants, OICs of different departments in our installation. So right off the bat, I'm already getting some mentorship just going with the team. And from there, we competed in DC. It was a great turnout. Uh, and then from there, it's again networking. So it was one of those, hey, we like the way you ran today. And I'm like, I actually did not do that great. They're like, no, we like it. Do you want to try out these other tryout? Next thing, I was running with part of All Army team, representing the All Army against all the other services at Marine Corps Marathon. So, and I went there, and again, it was great performance. I met the team and represented the Armed Forces team, U.S. Army, not U.S. Army, but U.S. Armed Forces team overseas. In fact, this my polo here was from my first team that I met it, and we went to the Netherlands, which again continue on networking with mentorship. From then on, so far I am 8.5 years in the army right now, and I have going for 6 trips overseas for World Military Marathon Championships. Can't, like, won't forget my experiences when I was in Italy, a city called Torino or Turin. Just enjoy my time. I don't have to be working as a environmental science officer every time. I do have all these other things to kind of like guide my energies towards other things that I love doing.
Okay, so sir, we actually have time for one more question this morning. What I would like to have you do, would you have any advice for our viewers that may be considering a career move into Army medicine in the environmental science field?
I have a lot of advice. Just the first few for whoever is already thinking or considering becoming an environmental science officer, you're already on the right track. One is we talked earlier about how much opportunities you're gonna get as far as leadership and guidance. Second, while you're doing this, time goes by so quick, and with that minimum required time, 5 years or so, which will go so fast, you're already like qualified for programs like LTHET, long-term health education training, where the Army wants you to go to school. They highly encourage you to go back to school, and they pay for it, and you go get your master's or PhD if you already have master's, or you can go straight to PhD. School of choice. You can even, or you can go to school that the army wants you to go. So some of these things, it's just great opportunities. You want to come here. Just know that you cannot just come in trying to kind of figure out. You want to come in all eyes, all hands on, and because as soon as you're highly motivated and you want to do what we are doing, and not necessarily just ESCO, it could even just be medical service school. You're given so much opportunities and also guidance. You're not just there alone stumbling. Last thing I always like to tell personnel that they are considering, which congratulations is a good thing to consider. Go straight to your health recruiting office. Don't try looking around and trying to figure out. Go there, talk to them, but just don't show up and try to have them tell you what you want. Like if you know that you want it to be this kind of this in this position, print out your transcripts. If you're in the army already, like enlisted, print out your ERB, print out additional, if you have any certifications. For instance, for us, we do REHS is one of them, Registered Environmental Health Specialist. If you have CPH, print all those, bring it. Anything you have, just don't feel like, I don't know if this is going to count. Let your health care recruiters figure out, but give them what, make it easy for them to help you out. This is what I did. Again, I mentioned earlier some first class cook who helped me out. I just printed everything and I came and it's just kind of smart, like wow, like you have all this, and we're going to send you transcripts for review, and within the next few days it's like you're good to go, like let's put the packet. So at that point I already had half the packet. So those are the things that is where you need to be aggressive about it and just move on.
Yes, sir. So anybody that is interested, they can reach out to us that are interested in being environmental science officers or any of our medical healthcare positions. Feel free to reach out to us on any of our platforms. And thank you, sir, for taking your time away from your family this morning while you are on leave.
Thank you for having me.
And this will wrap up another episode. Thank you to our viewers for tuning in with us live. As always, we welcome your questions. You can comment below or on any of our other social media platforms. We hope everyone has a happy, healthy, and safe weekend. And we look forward to seeing you again next Friday at 10 a.m. here on Sick Call.
Good call.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.